Hello everyone. Today we are going to be playing with Spinnaker. My name is JJ Asgar. I'm a developer advocate at IBM Cloud, and I have a guest with me today.
Hi, this is Paul Tchaikovsky. I'm a developer advocate at Pivotal.
Hey, cool. So we're actually in the same room together. I don't have a video. We're just going to be doing stuff online, kind of walk everyone through stuff. But basically, CZ or Paul and I are going to be installing Spinnaker on IBM Cloud, and then just kind of playing with it and understanding how to get it done. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to use Helm to install it onto Kubernetes, and I think maybe we'll start by we've got the Spinnaker website open. If you're not familiar with Spinnaker, it is a continuous delivery platform. So it's like Jenkins, which is kind of more focused at CI. Spinnaker is more focused at CD, and having that tighter focus on just the delivery kind of lets them be a lot more specific rather than being a more general tool. And so basically you have what's the equivalent of like a multi-cloud inventory. So Spinnaker supports installing not just to Kubernetes, but to Amazon, Google Cloud, etc. And it sort of manages what applications you've deployed to what platform, and then what versions of those applications are deployed to which platform in which environment, etc. So that's kind of the app management side of things, and then it also does pipelining. So basically, you group together sets of discrete actions to actually perform the application deployment. So there's kind of your canonical example is you find, like, you're triggered by something which is like an image changing. You deploy that to an environment and run some tests, and then if that's successful, deploy it through to production, perform the rolling upgrade or whatever deployment strategy you've selected, and it kind of understands the basic blue-green, which it calls red-black because Spinnaker, it comes from Netflix, and Netflix loves to name things a little bit differently to everyone else. Mm-hmm. Their colors are red and black, hence it's red-black deployment. So most of the time you're looking at red-black. They can also do the rolling red-black and canary, etc. I think we'll just be focused at the blue-green/red-black right now. It also manages access control, so the load balancers and firewall kind of stuff as well. But we don't need to go too much into that. So hopefully on this page somewhere there's like a breakdown of the actual infrastructure, because I think it's important to understand that Spinnaker is of itself like a complex set of microservices. There's almost like a dozen microservices involved in running Spinnaker, and for a company like Netflix, that makes a lot of sense because they're dealing with hundreds of microservices. For a lot of us, though, we don't even have like a dozen microservices ourselves. So to have to manage a dozen microservices so you can install four or five microservices seems a little bit overkill.
So let's take a quick step back and say, first of all, why would I play with Spinnaker as just a normal engineer, not like an enterprise? What value am I bringing to myself by spending the time and calories to learn Spinnaker?
Yeah, I guess having we should all be looking at doing like continuous integration, continuous delivery, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless of what underlying platform we're deploying to, it's kind of almost a de facto requirement. If you're doing software development in the cloud, you should be doing some form of CI/CD. It's just Spinnaker brings a whole set of maturity and focus and discipline to the continuous delivery side of things.
So you could put this in front of your boss in a configured way and say, this has, to use your term, discipline, that we can actually roll something out in an intelligent manner, right, to not worry about taking down production, for instance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Basically, it's removing humans from the actual day-to-day tappity-typity on the keyboard to perform, what should be repeatable deployment scenarios.
Okay.
So obviously you need to have a certain level of maturity to be able to do these things. So there's some expectation when you're using Kubernetes as your backend platform. You already know how to build a Docker image. You already know how to test your application. You already have it deploying to some sort of Docker registry. So if you're not doing pretty solid CI already, then there's no point even looking at Spinnaker, right?
Okay.
You've got bigger problems to solve. So when you're looking at Spinnaker is kind of when you've solved that CI side of thing, and now you're looking at, okay, now we need to actually deliver this stuff to production and deliver it reliably to production. It's not unusual for folks to start with using Spinnaker to say deploy to dev or test, staging, whatever, and then do that final deployment to production, and then slowly work their way up to doing the whole thing automated. And you can put human gates in there, so you might automate all the way through to like staging, and then you might have a final human gate to like press this button to deploy to production now. So as you're modernizing your deployment process, you can kind of take it in steps. And if you still have a change control board, or you still have no deploy Fridays or whatever, you can kind of you can work around those things and work within those things as you get more comfortable and get to the point where you sort of take a step back and you let the robots do the entire thing for you. Yeah.
So and this, because we're using Kubernetes, we can use anything we could run inside of Kubernetes and have Spinnaker be able to control the deployment of that pod that we're going to be playing around with.
Yeah, that's right. So Spinnaker, as I kind of said before, comes out of Netflix. Netflix historically uses Amazon for their deployment pipeline. So initially Spinnaker was focused around doing that, taking that golden image that was already built. Or they do have an Amazon bakery as part of Spinnaker, but I feel like that's being sort of pushed out as Spinnaker is more and more focusing just on the CD side of things. But if you're deploying to Kubernetes, as long as it's a Kubernetes image, you have basically the Kubernetes image, a Docker image, and there's actually two modes of having it work with Kubernetes. There's like what they called V1, which was Spinnaker completely manages the like the kube manifests, and then there's the V2, which is you manage the kube manifests, or you provide an artifact like a Helm template and the variables that you want to be rendered into that Helm template.
Okay.
For really basic stateless apps, the V1 mode works really well. You basically it creates a deployment, it creates a service of type load balancer, etc. Right?
Okay.
But there's not a ton of customization that happens. So as your applications get more complicated or your microservices become more populated, you tend to then move on to the V2 mode, which is you're providing the kube manifests, and then they're pretty static still. So that's why a lot of folks will write a Helm template, and when you use a Helm template with Spinnaker will do like a Helm template. So it's not actually using Helm and Tiller to install your application. It's using it just as a templating format.
Cool. All right. So it's a command and control to be able to push out versions of our application in a intelligent way.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And it tracks which versions are deployed to which environments and handles the rolling upgrades and all that sort of stuff.
Perfect. Cool.
Do you want to maybe see if there is a Kubernetes like a
specific one?
Kubernetes, a Spinnaker infrastructure diagram, because I think it's kind of interesting to see. So maybe just do a
looking for that.
maybe just Google search in a new tab. Spinnaker architecture. Yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. So you can see there's all the stuff in the light blue boxes, the Spinnaker microservices. They connect to, I think there's two main stateful services. There is uses Redis
Mm-hmm.
as like a local cache, and then it uses your cloud's object storage to actually as basically as a database.
Oh wow.
And I actually learned that the hard way when I was first installing Spinnaker. I would install it. I would do some demo stuff, uninstall it. Later on, I would install it again, and all of my data was still there, and I couldn't figure it out because I'd been destroying like not just my Spinnaker install, but also my Redis, which is where I thought it was storing it. Turned out it was storing it all in GCP object storage, and so when I deleted Spinnaker, I also had to delete the bucket that stuff was being installed into, or we'd have to create a new bucket to store it into. So that was kind of a fun little surprise that I wasn't expecting. But what that does mean is most of Spinnaker is completely stateless, so you can tear the entire thing down, spin it up again, and you sort of still have it in the state it was in. So it's kind of cool that way. Now it's complicated. And then deck is the thing up the top left-hand corner. That is the web UI, right?
Okay.
So there's that. There's Gate, which is just a gateway. Then there's
Igor.
I can't remember what Igor is, but the main thing are those like
Orca.
Roscoe and Cloud Driver, Orca, etc. I think Gate is the API, and it talks to all the other bits, and all the other bits talk to it. However that works is more complicated than we really need to understand as a user of it, especially since they built out this tool called Halyard. And Halyard is basically it manages the lifecycle of all of those microservices.
Oh, cool.
So now instead of having to manage each of those separately, I use Halyard. So I install Halyard, and I just use the CLI to perform configuration options for the entire thing, and then it will then effectively do destroy and recreates of the various microservices with the new settings.
Nice.
And so, because we love adding layers upon layers of indirection and abstraction, we then wrap all of that around a Helm chart. So we use Helm to basically install Halyard and Redis, and then Helm calls Halyard to actually do all the configuration. And when you do the apply of the configuration on Halyard, Halyard will then create the manifests and everything to deploy all of those other microservices. So it's a little bit complicated, and it means that it's one of the harder of the applications to actually get up and running in general, let alone with Helm. So there's a lot of upfront pain before you get something working the way you want. So when you're looking for like a really low mean time to dopamine, as Andrew calls it, right? Where you want to be able to grab a thing and test it out real quick and feel like you've succeeded. Spinnaker isn't really quite there yet. Halyard does make it easier, but it's still a little bit painful. But once you've got it up and running and configured in a somewhat useful way, the benefits start coming along really quick. So it's it's a longer time before you start to feel good about what you did, and you feel that you actually achieved something. But then the benefits stack up pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This feels already very heavyweight.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, back when you were doing this on, say, Amazon, each of those microservices, whether it was their own VM, right?
Oh yeah.
In Amazon, whereas in Kubernetes they're a container, so it feels less heavyweight, certainly, and probably cheaper. So it went from really, as a large enterprise, with all those microservices running, you might only have one or two Spinnakers for like your entire enterprise. Now, with it being in Kubernetes, and you can probably you could run all of this on like one worker node's worth of resources. Not that you'd want to run it all on a single worker node, but it doesn't take a ton of resources when running in containers. So it's more, and with Halyard also making things easier, it's more likely that you might run one per larger application or set of microservices, rather than trying to jam as much as you can into a single Halyard. Kind of in that same way, we would try and jam as much as we could into a single Jenkins, because Jenkins is not particularly easy to like
That's
run
true.
and maintain.
That's very true.
Halyard with Halyard and installing Kubernetes, it's a lot more easier to run and maintain. And using things like Helm, and even taking a step further and using Helm file and building like a GitOps style workflow around deploying this infrastructure, it becomes a lot more friendly to even deploy a Spinnaker on like every Kubernetes cluster you're using, if that's what you're into. But that's probably getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves. So I think, is there anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to get right into deploying it?
Yeah, no, I think it was a pretty good overview of what Spinnaker is.
All right.
And how we can start doing stuff. Now, if we can just start building it, I guess.
Yeah, so let's start by opening up a new tab and go to, I would say leave these tabs open.
Okay.
And just open up a new tab for github.com/helm/charts.
All right.
All right, and then under stable, there should be a Spinnaker directory. And what we're looking for is a values file under Spinnaker. Scroll way down.
Spinnaker. Spotify.
So click on the values.yaml.
Zoom this in.
So what I usually do is I will take a copy and paste of this
Whole thing.
So you can probably you can even just get that down. So in your current directory, you've got run tree. So let's see what we've got. So we've got an env directory, and this is where we'll put all of the environment specific stuff, including the values.yaml. So jump up into the env directory and get that down. Now we already have a registry secret in there, and that is because Spinnaker needs a credentials to log into your Docker registry. So I had JJ go ahead and set that up just so that we didn't have to try and hide the screen while he pasted his password around. So you wget that down. So let's maybe open that up in a whatever your text editor of choice is. Pico.
Yeah, right. And this should be big enough. Give me 2 seconds to make sure the size is right in the text. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. There we go.
All right, that's huge.
Yep.
All right, so these are basically all the configurable things that are part of for installing Spinnaker. So Halyard is a big component of it. You can see there's a ton of settings you can set.
Where are we going?
So what we're looking for is there should be a registry secret option. I'm just going to open up my values file. There should be a Docker registries key. Docker registry account secret is exactly what we want. And so the secret recreated was called registry secret. And so just update that.
Registry secret. Okay.
Yep. And then if you scroll up to the Docker Hub, you actually need to give it the repositories you want Spinnaker to know and care about. And so there's some garbage defaults in there, but really you just want the node. You wrote a node app, right?
Yes, I wrote a little simple node app for this. Well, I should say I stole a node app for this. Can we show it right here? Node. Called it node-time. It's basically a little simple node app that when you wget against, or you curl against it, it gives you the time and date of the machine. And what we can do is we can iterate very easily by just playing around with this line right here on line 15 changing out the month and date. So
Okay, cool.
my goal is just to roll through that.
All right, cool. And you've already built it and pushed that to Docker registry, right?
I should have. Let us verify that one last time. Just thinking about it. Oops. No repositories. No, of course it wouldn't be too. It wouldn't be. Whatever. Not gonna bother. No dash time. Here we go.
All right, cool. So under your Docker registries, maybe leave Nginx in there as well, just in case we need that. We want to do something with that. But I would kill the other three. They'll just be noise.
All right.
So that, I think, that might be all you need to do. By default, it uses Minio for doing S3 style object storage.
Okay.
So maybe search for MINIO. Yeah, so that's set to enabled. And that way we don't need to set up credentials for S3 or GCP or anything like that.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So what? So Minio is
yeah, if you're not familiar,
Yeah.
Minio is basically it's basically an S3 clone that is pretty popular in the Kubernetes community for either running in places that don't have like private cloud kind of scenarios in your own data center, or if you're just doing some demo stuff. Instead of actually just pushing real live data to S3 for like a dev environment, you can use Minio as a S3 alternative
on your Kubernetes cluster.
On your Kubernetes cluster,
okay.
right? And so basically when you have Minio enabled is true here, it's basically going to use the Minio Helm chart as a dependency and install Minio in the same way that it does with Redis.
Awesome.
And so if you look up just above, there's Redis. It's also set to enabled.
But that is not real.
Well, it doesn't need to be, right? So if enabled, it doesn't use the external section.
Got it.
So it only uses the external session if you have an external Redis.
Makes sense.
Now I would probably uncomment the master persistence enabled false, just so we don't have to worry about it persisting that. And maybe just do a word search for persistence and see if there's anything else that it wants to persist. I would do the same for Minio, at least for our first attempt.
Okay. That's it.
That is probably good enough to get us something working.
Okay.
So let's save this out.
Yep.
And get back to command prompt.
Yeah.
And then jump back a directory.
Just to verify that we're connected,
Alright.
we are running 113 on IKS. I spun this up yesterday, which is ahead of time, which is trying to think ahead of time.
Cool. So do a. We need to. You've got Helm installed, right?
No, this is completely empty.
On your desktop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So do a Helm init. Let it install the Helm's tiller. Now, ordinarily, if you're running Helm init, you'll also do some housekeeping to secure it, and it has information on how to secure it there. But for a simple demo like this, we can skip through that and just start using Helm. So do a Helm ls and see if it's finished installing.
Nope.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me actually.
Want to take over?
Yeah, I'll paste in my Helm install. Yeah, there was a few other things we did need to do. So let me just. I might as well just do it securely. Helm. One moment. Alright.
And I should say, if you're watching or have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We are just going to be going through this, and your questions will be very, very greatly appreciated.
Alright, so I just deleted the Helm we installed, and I'll do a full secure version of the install. I have some alias set up for it, so I'm just going to copy and paste for those. But basically, we're creating a service account. We're deploying Tiller to use that service account. And then we're patching the service and deployment to make it so it's only accessible via using the Helm command itself, which uses a kube proxy.
Mm-hmm.
So the service itself is listening to localhost inside the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So other pods and other services can't try and hack its way into Helm access. So if we do a Helm ls now, nothing's there. So that's good. So we do a Helm version. You can see we have a client version and a server version, which is great. So I'll let you type.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to do a Helm install -- file space env/values, then -- name Spinnaker -- namespace Spinnaker, and then stable / Spinnaker.
Is that?
Yep. Must be -- values.
And we're off to the races.
So this actually takes a minute because it does a bunch of stuff. So we can create a new thingy, a new terminal.
Oh.
What do you want to do? No?
No.
That's all right. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So if we do a kubectl get all, you can see we've got a bunch of stuff starting and running up. There's, I think, a deployment and 2 stateful sets, or just 2 stateful sets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So Minio is a deployment, Redis is a stateful set, and then Spinnaker is a stateful set. Halyard is a Spinnaker set.
Mm-hmm.
So once Halyard is up and running, you can see there's a job called Spinnaker install using Hal.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically sitting there watching for the Halyard API to become available.
Okay.
And then it will start hitting it with some configuration.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can actually get pods. So we can see Halyard is pending. I bet you Halyard is waiting for PVC. Yeah, we missed. Halyard itself has persistence enabled. So we will need to wait for that to happen, which hopefully won't take too long. And then once Halyard is running, we can then watch the job. So if you actually do a while we're waiting here, Spinnaker. Oh no, what's the job? Spinnaker. Logs. Wow, I can't type today. So this is the job. And so you can see this is just literally infinite looping, looking for the Halyard API.
Crash loop back off.
Yeah, which is fine. It'll keep doing that until
our storage is...
Yeah. Oh wait, that's the. Ooh.
Nope, it's there.
So that's there. Why are we crashing? Well, this is always fun. Hey, describe pod.
So if we destroy the Helm deployment now, it'll destroy the PVC or the volume.
Yeah, but that's not.
We don't want that.
I'm trying to see why
There it is.
errored. So it never started. So why did it not? Already present, failed scheduling, BBC repeated 3 times. Let's just delete the pod and let the stateful set recreate it.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Just thinking about it.
Yeah. If this doesn't work, we will do a Helm delete, disable the persistence, and try again. Yeah, so it doesn't like something about the storage, I'm guessing.
It's probably too slow, maybe?
I don't know. So let's look at values file.
All right.
Oh, you've got it up there in your Emacs.
Oh, I do. Hang on. Here we go.
Just go up to the very top. Halyard settings were at the top. And there should be something about persistence. Hopefully we can disable Halyard persistence.
Doesn't look like it.
Keep going. Keep going.
Nope.
Huh. Well, that's gonna make things fun. Just do a search for the word persist. Only exists twice and we've disabled it.
That is
both
correct.
of those. So Halyard itself needs it. So I guess we're gonna do some debugging on the pod.
Yeah,
so if
and it
switch
also,
back.
if you noticed it also went to the PVC. It defaulted to the bronze version.
It shouldn't care about speed.
It shouldn't?
It's literally it's just dropping some like config files and
Oh,
templates
okay.
and stuff down.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything intensive.
Okay.
So let's go back to the describe and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. So it's just showing restart failed. Alright. Okay, there's an init container
Mm-hmm.
that is running a script
Called init.sh.
called init.sh.
But we can't see that, can we?
Yeah, so you can do a klogs. If you do -c and no, what's the name? What was the name of the container? There's always the fun bit is debugging it when you don't even get the container started.
Mm-hmm.
All right, create Halyard local.
No such. Oh wait, hold on.
Line 10.
Permission denied.
Cannot create directory. So that's definitely some sort of PVC issue. Is there like a pod security policy or anything? Go back to your values file.
I don't think so.
Resources, additional init script.
CPU memory.
So I think what's happening is there's like a non-root user being used to run the Spinnaker commands, and that doesn't have access to write to the PVC. And usually you would work around that with not a pod security policy, a security context. There, security context. I just saw it. So this account should be created. Security context.
Do you want to do that as root or user 1?
No, because it's setting the FS group, which means it should mount the volume with that
Maybe that user doesn't.
user's permissions.
But if that user doesn't exist, it wouldn't have the rights to be able to write to it, right?
Right, but the user is in the container. And when you set this FS group, it's supposed to set write access for that user / group on the persistent data that's created. So
and there's no way for us to spin up this container by itself and be able to see the users on there. Does it make sense or no?
Well, if the user didn't exist, it wouldn't even be getting as far as it is now.
Oh, good point.
Right? Because the script is running, it just doesn't have access to write to the file system.
Yeah.
And so, for whatever reason, even though it's /temp Spinnaker, that's actually where that persistent volume is mounted in the. So if we do no. Oh, we're in your weird. So we should be looking for init containers. Yeah, do a search for init containers. No,
No, it should have been.
Wait, what is it using for the editor here?
It is Emacs, but it should have gone to
okay.
the other one, but it didn't.
All right.
So what am I looking for?
Looking for, what did I just say? Init container. Yeah. Okay. Scroll down. So there's your security context and group. Uh, how do we work around this? All right, let's do a helm delete. So just exit out of this.
No changes?
No.
Wait, what? Okay.
Okay, so let's do a helm delete purge Spinnaker. Okay, get jobs. So when Spinnaker doesn't install properly, you generally
I'd do this all by hand.
delete a couple of jobs to speed up the delete process, so it just happens real quick.
Nice.
So let me have a look at somewhere on my local machine. I have a definite version of the chart that because I don't know if there's an issue with the current version of the Helm chart or what. So I'll switch us to use the previous version that I have. Lab, install
Group.
Wow, neither of us can type today. Okay, so I can just do -- version. And then we can set a longer timeout as well, which is useful.
It really does take 10 minutes?
It can. Oh, that's probably not for the chart. That should be right. Specify the exact chart version to install.
I really should start spending some time with Minio. I have a feeling I could use that in a lot of things.
Oh no, I killed that terminal session. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
Helm install Spinnaker. Oh. Version. Name Spinnaker.
Namespace. Yep. Spinnaker.
Spinnaker.
If you didn't catch at the beginning, we actually did create that namespace by hand. We didn't. It doesn't automatically come.
YAML. Stable Spinnaker.
Nope.
Huh.
It doesn't look like it's.
I wonder if we actually had a really old version of.
That looks better. Nope, no.
Nope.
Oh, you're in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Oh yeah, do you wanna?
Yes, 1 equals. There you go.
All right. So like before, we can do it. Still have an init error.
Maybe it's different. So they did take the version, didn't it?
I think it's the same error.
Yeah, how are versions associated? Because looking at the charts, it's all one big repo.
Yeah, so that's because that's the source repo, right? The Helm chart repo is a separate thing again. So if you go to hub.helm.sh.
Hub.helm.sh?
Yep.
Oh, yes, I remember you showing this before.
Yep. And so if you look Spinnaker up there, it'll show all the versions that are available.
So let's go back to 110.
Well, I'm actually wondering if maybe we should come all the way forward because we were at whatever version was current when you last ran like a Helm update.
Oh, that's been a long time ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just do another.
Let's come to the future, or come to the real.
Yeah. Helm delete purge Spinnaker.
It'd be so much nicer if Splat would work.
Yeah. If what?
If Splat would work. You know, with Spinnaker Splat, and we just delete all those jobs.
Oh. So let's rerun KPC.
So what Paul is doing right now, he's deleting the persistent volume claim. That's what PVC stands for, by the way, if you didn't know. To make sure that when we create our new one, which he's going to update Helm to the newest version, or the chart repo to the newest version, we'll see how it goes from there. Right?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm just going to give it a different name, and that way it's not going to try and reuse that PVC at all anyway. Nor will it wait for it.
No, there's PVC and there's another one. What's the other one? Persistent volume claim and...
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways of creating volumes. Persistent volume claim is generally the way you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you need a volume, chances are you need to stick around
Makes sense.
beyond the life cycle of a specific pod.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, you might as well just use like a empty dir,
Mm-hmm.
which will be like an empty, basically, effectively an empty container that's used as a volume.
Nice. Okay.
But that only survives as long as the pod.
Yeah.
Right. You can do a non-persistent volume, which is just, I think, a volume.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like it's still that still would have the life cycle of the pod.
Which is,
So why you'd want to get that off the network and add extra latency is a good question. Unless you're trying to preserve disk space on the underlying physical machine.
Okay.
But generally speaking, I'll either do an empty dir or I will do a PVC. And then when you do a PVC with a stateful set, you basically create a PVC template and you let the stateful set itself deal with creating the actual PVC.
Nice.
In the same way you use a pod template inside like a stateful set or a deployment.
Okay. Cool.
So let's have a look how this is going. So again, we're going to get a new PVC. So that's pending. So it'll take a few moments. And hopefully we'll have better success.
Just thinking about it. Nope.
So
It's there.
done. That was pretty quick.
That was oh.
Got that same.
Blew up again.
So let's maybe do a search for PVC and security context FS group.
I've gone to this site before.
So we can at least explore the issue that's happening here. So security context lets you tell Kubernetes how to run the stuff inside the container. And so run as group, run as user, and then FS group. FS group, if I remember correctly, will attempt to mount any shared storage as that user, and thus should give that user access to write to that directory. Oh my god, he's got one of these crazy keyboards. Oh, that is not.
That's a problem when you type
All
in
right.
Dvorak.
Yeah. Oh, it's Dvorak.
Yep.
You filthy communist. Do a word search for FS group. Let's just confirm that. Let's next.
Specifically,
Okay, volumes that support ownership management are modified to be owned and written by. See the ownership management design document for more details. Well, let's go down this rabbit hole.
send this to a. Oh god, no. Okay. Volumes and item potency. Always a good always a good thing to see.
So I wonder if use your words, Paul. I wonder if the IBM PVC implementation doesn't support setting the security context FS group. Maybe can you do a search for FS group, Kubernetes, IBM Cloud,
Okay.
and see what you get.
Troubleshooting cluster storage. Oh no.
Just search for the word FS group.
Hang on, make this a little bigger. Deployment home chart.
See, file storage adding non-root user access. I think
remove security field for FS group and user from the image deployment or Helm chart and redeploy. Just don't use it, Paul. Just don't use it.
Have to add the non-root init container. Said run as user at the container level, not the pod level. All right, well, I think heavily modifying the Spinnaker Helm chart is probably outside of the context of what we want to be doing here. We could attempt to deploy this to Minikube or Kubin or Kind.
Yeah.
Or I can provide us a cluster we can use.
But hold on. Didn't we have this context? Just to make sure I understand this, why can me not just deleting that do what that says? Or am I reading that wrong?
Why don't we have a look at... you still got the repo for the chart? Let's actually dive into the chart.
Okay.
And let's look at... Go to templates.
Templates.
And then stateful sets.
Stateful sets.
And then Halyard. And then search for security context.
I can't spell security.
All right. Yeah, so some charts will have a way to disable a security context.
This one doesn't.
This one doesn't.
Could we put a PR in that does it?
We can give it a shot.
Yeah?
You want to do that?
Why not?
All right, so let's...
I'm going to close my thing now.
All right.
So talk about the process of creating this PR.
All right, so effectively what's happening here is the Helm chart is expecting to run the stuff inside of the pod as a specific user. And it looks like there might be a compatibility with the IBM volume storage in allowing you to do that. So what we can do is maybe modify the chart to not do that security context section and rerun it and see what happens. So we'll want to clone down this entire repo.
Alright, duplicate tab. And we've discovered all the details around why we would need to do this. So this could actually be a valuable PR for the masses.
I mean,
no?
Yeah, so we can try and cheat our way through it now, and then later on maybe go through that IBM docs and actually make it work the way it wants to, and then we'll see if the chart maintainers are willing to take on that level of change. So for now, we're just gonna comment that section out, and just run it with the defaults and see what happens. Stable Spinnaker. So edit the stateful sets. Halyard. So actually we've got two options here. One is to remove the security context. The other would be to allow non-persistent data. So let's try the security context first.
Okay.
And so just comment out those 3 lines. And just check that it's not repeated anywhere else in there. It should be fine because it's at the spec. Because I think you can do it at the spec or the pod spec or the...
Yep.
But it looks like it's at the main spec.
Okay.
So save that.
Okay.
And then in our command prompts, we probably need to, we air it out. So helm delete purge spin.
I'll get you a job.
Let me just do one thing. That's fine. Ooh. Where did you put the chart? Not in the same directory?
No. Where are we right now? So, right there.
Okay.
We don't
Obviously
have the templates. Yeah. We just want stable Spinnaker.
Yeah. And you'll probably want to kill the dot slash.
Like that?
Yeah.
Off it goes. Nope.
Oh, yeah. So we need to do a... helm depth update.
Things are happening.
Hey, what's your Twitch handle? What are we Twitch streaming as?
JJ Asgar.
JJASGHAR.
Yep. Also, it's being re-streamed into IBM Developer. Speaking of, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use the chat to talk to us.
Yeah, so we've cloned down the Helm charts repo so we can modify it, and because we've now got a cloned copy, we had to update the dependencies in that chart to make sure those dependencies were there. So we just did that so we can rerun the Helm install command like this.
Things are
and
happening.
That should kick it off, and we do a get pods.
Things are coming. Oh no!
And we're straight to a crash loop back off.
Wow, that was.
That was
Redis didn't even start.
That was real quick.
Did not like that at all, did it?
So I'm gonna guess the image itself is built to run as that user, and so by pulling that out, we actually just broke it further.
Yeah.
So let's go the other way and kill off the persistent volume.
Okay.
So switch back to your text editor. I'm going to clean this up while you do that.
I'm going to get nice and comfy to typey because I have a feeling this is going to take a few minutes. Alright, so we need to put that back there.
So there should be a volumes directory. Sorry, a volumes key in this repo.
Right here.
So there's if values kubeconfig enabled. Oh, we probably need to set. Oh, that's fine. Values GCS reg secrets. S3 additional secrets. Keep going. Halyard init script. We're looking for one that calls a PVC. keep going.
These are all containers now.
Search for like volume templates. Volume plan template. Okay, here we go. So I think we need to comment that out.
All of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then where we're defining volumes, we need to define a volume called Halyard Home and set it to be an empty dir. So go back to the volumes, and then so like right at that top, dash name is you need a dash because it's a list. Back one should be under the V. One more, and then you want it to be the type empty dir, empty capital D. Yeah, I did see there was another empty dir, so you can just check. Oh, okay, so alright, so yeah, just copy that up there.
Okay.
So save that off.
I have.
And then let's try rerunning the home install. Let's just do a get pods.
Verify it's gone.
Get PVC. Oop. Delete PVC. Not that we need to delete that, but we'll delete it just to keep things clean.
Seems reasonable.
And then home install from there. Let's
Off we
try
go.
again. Okay, get pods.
Can we do dash F? No. That would be too easy. Hey! Hey! Things are happening!
All right. So hopefully we've bypassed the need for that persistent volume, but of course it's not persistent. So this pod is very fragile right now. So if we have to redeploy, it'll basically start from scratch. So we'll see how that goes.
But in theory, you could, like you were saying about how Spinnaker was created, right? You could, in theory, spin up an instance of Spinnaker whenever you needed it. In this way, have it do the automation to roll something out and then destroy itself.
In theory, yes.
That could be an actual use case where it's completely ephemeral.
Yeah, I think it's probably so. Most Helm charts give you the option to have everything completely ephemeral.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, makes that initial dev experience easier because you don't have to worry about setting up PVCs.
Exactly.
Don't worry about doing volume claims or anything like that.
So
I think actually PRing up allowing you to have non-persistent for Halyard is probably useful to do.
Yep.
And we can clean up that template so it's not just commenting it out later if we want to PR it up.
I think that would be a great way for us to finish this off.
I agree.
But I will say though, I'm already thinking about using Jenkins to spin up Spinnaker to deploy my app and then tear itself down and give me an email from Jenkins to say it's done. No, nothing.
See, wait. I'm confused.
That's the point. That was the point.
You have effectively confused me, sir. -fqndm.
Hey.
All right. So that job actually ran through.
Mm-hmm.
So if we scroll up, you can see a bunch of stuff happening. So effectively what happens is the Helm chart constructs a set of bash scripts, because everything is bash under the hood,
Of course it is.
to run the Spinnaker config settings.
Mm-hmm.
Spinnaker, sorry, the Halyard config settings. The Halyard config settings are more or less idempotent,
Okay.
so it doesn't hurt to rerun them. So if you rerun the job, it's fine. It'll only change things if it's done, if it is actual real changes, and then once all those are done, it basically generates the kube manifests and deploys them out, and so and then if we were running actual Halyard locally, you could actually run hal deploy connect, and it would set up some sort of port forward thing.
Oh, nice.
But we're not doing that, so we can use a kube port forward. But you'll see we have a ton more pods, and they are in various states of running. So it looks like they're mostly done.
We're still waiting for the front
50, which is going to be talking to. That's the thing that sits in front of the object storage.
Right,
so it's sitting in front of Minio. So it's probably doing some negotiation.
So that
get
is
working.
that guy right there.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there was one other thing, Igor as well, but I don't think that's something that we are actually using. So we can do a K port forward. You really need to get tab completion set up on your stuff here. So K get pods. Do we have we don't see the port. But we can do this. So it actually tells you. So in Helm, you can write notes, and so most things will have a way to tell you how to do like a port forward. And so you can see these first couple of commands are setting up the port forward to do a. So you can copy and paste that deck into there, and then in your web browser, it should be at localhost 9000.
That looks like Spinnaker.
Woo!
Yay! It only took us an hour and 13 minutes.
Well, it's not started yet. There it comes. Now we're at a blank, clean slate, right?
Very clean.
Very clean. So the first thing we need to do is create an application. You can go a step further and create a project, but we don't need to go that crazy. So Spinnaker, by default, gets effectively cluster admin for the cluster it's installed into. You can give it more tied down permissions than that, and you can also give it kube configs from other clusters if you want to manage multiple clusters. But by default, it will look at everything that's currently deployed and create an app for it. Usually you would blacklist them out, or you would tell it to only care about the things you've created. You won't normally want to make it adopt something that already exists.
Yeah, your actual Kubernetes system seems like a bad idea.
Exactly. So you want to basically create an application. So go to Actions, Create Application. You give it a name. No time. So maybe don't do a dash just in case.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure what provider we're using for Kubernetes. So repo project is JJ Esgar, and the repo name is node time.
Alright, just making sure.
So it doesn't need the full URL, right? It just needs the project itself is JJ Esgar, and the repo name is node time.
Okay.
No, node time.
Oh.
So project is your username or
Got
your
it.
org,
Got it.
and repo is.
Yep. So this would be the port that the actual application is running on?
Maybe. Just leave it as it is for now. We can always change it.
Great.
Yep. Right. And then so basically you have these concepts of clusters and server groups.
Okay.
Right? So clusters are like groups of the same application, and server group is a deployment of that application. If I remember the Spinnaker nomenclature right.
One more time.
Clusters is your application,
Okay.
and it can be deployed to multiple places. Right?
Okay.
So it's basically like a higher level inventory item. And then I think server groups is the actual each install of your application.
Got it. Okay.
Weird Netflix naming scheme, but whatever. So you create a server group, and we give it a... Okay, so we're using the V2, so we need to actually give it a kube manifest.
Okay. I don't know. Just a default one?
Yeah, you just need a deployment manifest.
I don't have one. I mean, I just put
Right.
this in D.
So if you do kube deployment, you can grab it's probably straight from the docs.
Yeah, I went brain dead for a minute there. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about like kube resources is like the manifests are just painful enough you can't really memorize them.
Yep.
So let's paste that in, and then we'll just change the important bits.
Yeah, I'm gonna close some of these windows so we don't get lost here.
Yeah, we probably should have just done the V1 mode and let it deal with it, but we're here now, so
Yeah.
let's roll forward.
So this will be called node time.
Yep.
Node time. Sure, why not? Node time. Node time. Name of JJ Asgar.
That's the container name.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You can put in the image. Node time.
And then image
full thing,
would
yeah.
be JSCar /
Node time.
and then colon latest, and then whatever port it listens to.
Like that?
Yep.
So that's a pretty basic one. Okay, great.
Yep. And so this is actually going to deploy it to Kubernetes. So you can just hit the close button at the bottom.
Okay.
We probably should have set a namespace. Because we didn't, it's probably going to stick it in the default namespace?
Probably.
Question mark?
Probably.
So if you switch back to your command prompt and go to a different terminal, do a get pods, namespace default. Oh, fun!
No.
It's doing it in the Spinnaker namespace. Whatever, that's good enough for now.
Mhm.
So it's actually running, right?
Yeah, it's actually deployed and put it out there.
So I'm not sure what it's waiting for when it says waiting for.
It has to stabilize.
But while that's running, switch to the infrastructure. Got a load balancer. Let's create a load balancer.
Crap.
And so now we need a service manifest. Yeah. Oh, nope.
No, that's the deployment. Here we go.
So paste that in.
The hell? Stupid copy paste. There we go.
All right. And so obviously we need to change all that to node time. Was it my node time or just node time?
You do it no time. You're just supposed to use unique identifiers, right?
Yeah, but your labels want to match your,
Oh yeah, it was no time. Good call.
especially your selector.
Yeah.
port should be what, 8,000?
8,000.
And you want type to be load balancer?
What the hell is it?
Under just in the under spec at the same yeah, I think.
That sounds right.
Let me just double check on that.
Yeah, no,
Take me a
that's
second.
right. That's right. Yeah, it's type no port, so no. Yeah, it's type load balancer. See,
Under spec?
under spec.
Okay, I was right. Right.
Under the E. Under the E. Yep.
And then, do we need to specify the load balancer port? We shouldn't need to, right?
No.
I can't remember target port versus port. Yeah, I think we need to specify the target port, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, specify the target port, and I think port should be set to 80. No, it should be the same. It should be in the same list. Target. Capital P, yep. 88,000.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Save that off. And then
This one succeeded.
looks like that one. So go back to the infrastructure page. So you can see, yeah, so that looks like it's up. I don't know why default needs to be red to make it look like something's broken. It created of size 3. Did we specify a replica
Yeah,
set?
we did.
Okay, cool. And I think there's a few things that Kubernetes that Spinnaker will change, and I think one of the things you can have it manage the size and some other stuff. And the image name. I see it's actually pulled the image name there, right? See if your load balancer is finished.
Yeah, by default I went into Spinnaker. And an ingress.
But hold on, because there's nothing associated with it yet. Actually, no workloads. Go to service actions, edit. That is no time node. Yeah, okay. So hit cancel. Go back to your clusters. Click on your deployed one. Yep. Click on the actual V1 aspect of it. Cool. Oh, I see. So it's seeing the deployment as a deployment, and then that next the V1 as a replica set. Okay, so back up to the deployment. There's a way we go to deployment actions. There's right corner. Go to edit. I'm not sure in this mode how we actually connect the load balancer to the specific application.
Yeah, the name is node time. The label is node time.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it was still just setting up or something. So that's the app deployed.
Still can't actually get to it yet, though.
Still can't. Just a refresh.
I don't know where that's. I don't think that IP is ours either. I don't know where we got that IP from.
Well, from it created a service, right? So if you do a kubectl get service. You can see it's created.
Oh yeah. Not bad.
And then do a.
Oh, maybe an HP this port.
Well, that's the. No. It's 80 is forwarding to that,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
the node port, which will then forward to. So if you do a kubectl port forward to the node time pod. And then 8,000. Yeah, and then in your browser go to localhost 8,000. Okay, so clearly the app deployment from Spinnaker worked.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to just figure out the service.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back to your port forward. And do a port forward to service/node time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think just can we do this? Because I think it still pushes you through the I think it still pushes you through the pod. It just looks it up. So can you hit a curl against the load balancer IP?
Where was that number again? Oh, shit.
Just do a kget services. You can just do SVC.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Can't type. Curl.
So I'm not super sure if that's just still setting the load balancer up.
It shouldn't take that long. I mean, it's successful, right? That's what it's telling us.
Yeah. Well, it can. Just because the load balancer is up doesn't necessarily mean it's ready. I know in GCP it can take 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe do a kubectl get -o YAML on that service. Get service node time -o YAML. Yeah, so the node port is 3263, but the target port is 8,000, which is right, and the actual port
This port
is
80.
80.
Yeah. So it looks like it's wired up correctly.
So it looks like it's wired up properly. So maybe we'll just give it a few minutes.
Okay.
So now what we can do is we can set up a pipeline to upgrade the application.
Okay.
So if you go to pipelines and configure new pipeline and just call deploy to production. Yeah. All right, and then so the first thing we do is we want to add a trigger, and it should be git not git Docker registry, and then it should have select from list. Yeah, that's fine. Nope. And then Docker Hub, JJ image, and then you leave the tag blank. So it'll trigger anytime anything is set.
Okay.
Normally you'd basically blacklist away like latest or something, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So just hit save on that.
Okay.
Now scroll up, and now we want to add a stage, and you want to set a deployment stage. Deploy manifest, and then down the bottom hit copy from running infrastructure. Node time. Deployment. Yeah. No, I think it's probably gonna once you hit apply, it'll probably do the actual. So maybe hit save now, and we'll just see what happens. I would have expected it to have. Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it's got its own Spinnaker artifacts in there as well. Oh, I think maybe you need to do some sort of. There might be some sort of annotation you need to do for the load balancer, but don't worry about that for now, because we're not going to get it to manage it. So just, I think that's it. So if you we hit save,
it's just
right?
a redeployment of the latest. And that's, that's it.
So now, basically, you want to modify your app and push.
So repo node time. So let's just say e app, and we'll take away.
Why don't you just add it, like prefix the whole thing? Right, so you got not console log. Where's it actually?
It's right here in the formatted date. It just writes out the formatted date. So I was gonna say,
Oh, why don't you? Whoa.
Yeah?
Chill, bruh. So in the socket, right, you could probably add a double quote. Just, I don't know, hello, whatever, this time. Yeah.
Good.
I think that will work. I mean, you don't really need to push the master because we're triggering it with a Docker build.
Oh, good point.
Right. So usually you would have CI set up to build your image, etc. But we're going straight to CD. So basically, what he's going to have to do is do a Docker build. Docker build -t JJ. No dash time.
Thank you. No time. Dash time. Wait. One brain dead. Hang on.
Well, it should be in here. Yeah, no dash time. Yep. Docker push JJ Esca. No dash time. So if you go back to Spinnaker and just go to your pipelines. So we should, in a few moments, we should see it actually so it should be seeing that push and dealing with it. Let's do like a full refresh of the page. No, okay. Maybe it by default doesn't get triggered by latest. Let's actually give it a version number. So go back to your in your Docker builds. You need to either build or tag it. So do like just :1.0.0. Yeah. And then push 1.0.0. Really? Got it. That should happen real quick.
Nope.
Well, hold on. No. Cancel.
It's
Cancel. It's running.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I think maybe it ignores latest
Okay.
because it assumes that that's not something you want to deploy to production. So, effectively, what it's doing now is it's deploying that. It's modifying that manifest to be the new version. And we just picked blue-green style deployment. What are you doing?
Just gonna try to deploy.
Just do a like get pods. Get pods. So that's all it. So it hasn't updated the deployment yet. Yeah, so it's still running. It says it succeeded.
Maybe because it's latest and not 100 or 100.
Right, but I mean, it doesn't expect you to modify the. Oh, interesting. So the artifacts is set to no time latest. So maybe go to deployment actions. Let's have a look what our options are. Edit. No time. Artifact. Okay, hit cancel. Go to our pipeline. So I'm used to using the V1 mode, so it's a little bit different to what I'm used to seeing. I go to configure. Manifest source is correct. Now go to. Oh, I know. I think I know what we're missing. Go to the deploy stage. Yeah. So this is the. Oh, this is the deploy. Go to. Scroll back up to. Go to the trigger. So go to the configuration. Yep. So.
Oh yeah, there we go. Bills will not be triggered off the latest tag or updates to existing tags.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So we need to change that to version 1.0.
Oh, so maybe we need to change. You don't have to declare. So click add artifact. No, that's not what we want. Oh, actually, go to Docker. Maybe that is what we want. Docker image. So maybe we should go to the documentation for Spinnaker, and they'll probably have right up to the left. You already have a tab open. They probably have a getting started guide. They probably have like a tutorial getting started. Like have a look under developer how-tos, writing a new stage. Go to operator how-tos. Some Spinnaker. Okay, that's definitely right. So going to getting set up under developer how-to. No, that's not what we're looking for. Go back to user how-tos. Create. Go to Kubernetes manifest-based deployment. Deploy a manifest. Here we go. Okay, so they're definitely putting in the full image name.
Mm-hmm.
So scroll down. And pipeline, blah blah blah. Keep scrolling. New document image for feature flag. As a new digest, we've configured deploy manifest. Pipeline was changed with the orchestration of the artifact on the manifest. The image deploys the following. To ensure that you can force the stage, either bind or required before. Is there not like a trigger example?
No. Manage traffic, no.
Rollout strategies, best practice. Okay, statically, is that just linking to just below?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So
triggering pipelines?
Yeah. But then, because we're looking for the kube specific. Yeah, okay, so I think we need to set up the artifact from, so go back to our Spinnaker. Expected artifacts, docker image, and so JJ. Okay, hit save. But that's actually not going to do anything. That's just modifying the pipeline. So go back to the main pipelines page, and like just hit the start manual. That didn't even get started.
Well, I did not like that one.
Right.
So how about we delete this?
Yep.
And then come back over here and push out.
We need to retag it.
Yeah.
You can do a Docker tag. And so you do JJ. No. You need to do the origin and then the,
gotcha.
so you can just paste that a second time and modify the first one. And then paste again. And you spelled tag wrong, so you need to fix it. Alright, so switch back to your pipelines. Is that where you're at right now?
Mm-hmm. Just thinking about it.
It is indeed.
Did it take, what, 2 minutes last time?
Yeah, it took a second. There it goes.
Nope.
Wow, we really clearly it didn't like the pipeline change we made.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to configure. Well, hang on. Wow, you're very quick on the trigger there.
I am.
I mean, the automated trigger is correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I said earlier they make it very complex to like get going. So let's change. Go back to add artifact. I feel like we need that in there. So Docker. Yeah, and then click on the use default artifact, and then do that same. Hit, and then do like colon latest.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, okay.
And then I would actually just, because we had the same error, so I would just deploy it manually until we figure it out.
Okay.
And we'll worry about the pipeline. So we start manual execution. So it's clearly seeing the change correctly, right?
No, it didn't blow up immediately on us.
Right.
That's a good sign.
But it looks like it's still looking at latest. You can see up there you've got your...
So I think it's due to our manifest. Right? So we go back to this guy.
Right, but one of the things it's supposed to do is manage the...
This portion right here?
Right. I guess you could... So maybe it's mad about it being latest, so maybe change it to 1.0.0 and get rid of the single quotes around it. They're not needed there as well, just in case it's being like super weird.
Okay.
Yeah, save. Required artifacts to bind. Can you click on that and... That's what it is. I bet you click on that. We needed to bind that object and then hit save. So I think that artifact is created at the trigger time, and we weren't binding it. So
try it again.
Try again. Terminal. At least it got further this time.
Same error. So, we'll put the quotes back in there.
Okay, so clearly it needs those.
I don't know.
So I guess see if there's anyone's written up a tutorial. Someone's bound to have written up the tutorial that tells us what we're missing.
Yeah.
Inside the deployed manifest, affects the bind.
No.
Oh, okay. So he's trying to do some config map stuff. Maybe just literally look for like a tutorial.
Docker.
Spinnaker. So Spinnaker Kubernetes v2 manifest tutorial. Okay. So this is all the bits we did to deploy to Spinnaker. So keep scrolling down. We don't need to worry about webhooks. Keep scrolling. Create a Spinnaker application. Okay, this is the bits we've just been doing. So he's creating an application. Looks like he's done the same thing we have. Deployed a staging pipeline. Add artifact. GitHub as the artifact. Okay, so he's using a manifest for an artifact. So scroll down because we didn't do that. Here's our GitHub trigger. So okay, he's doing from GitHub. Keep scrolling and deploy manifest. So he's not doing any versioning yet.
This looks almost identical to what we did.
Right. Well, the only difference is he's using like a manifest
YAML
artifact rather than us pasting it in. Right. So keep scrolling. Docker triggers. Here we go. To build on tag events only. Little create a matching image tag.
Match against Docker prior to execution.
We haven't got that prior to execution. So configure. Artifacts. So the configuration. Use prior to, and we don't need the default. And then scroll back and see what else he has set that's different. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. So he's got GitHub. So he's adding the Docker artifact as well. And then deploy. Okay, so maybe that prior is the only thing we're missing.
Okay. We will get there. We will figure this out.
And did he have a version specified for his Docker image?
No, I'm pretty sure he didn't. No.
But look, he does have it really. Add the index.docker.io.
Well, and we know it works because we've gotten it on there, right? Yeah, I mean, both of them are there. That's.
Start manual execution. Yeah.
And so, same thing.
All right. Well, this is some annoyance.
You know what? How about this? Let me try this. Start a manual execution and then try latest. Nope.
Yeah. All right. Go back to your pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Configure. Now he did have index.docker.io/ in that expected artifact. So just to make sure we're complete, maybe just.
Like that?
Yeah. And then hit save. All right. Go back to your Helm values. And look for just the word Kubernetes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking for like it should be like a Kubernetes provider. Maybe search for the word provider. Providers. I mean, I see at the bottom there. There's a way to tell Spinnaker to use version 2. I mean, the good thing is we got it working.
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing is we're not getting it working.
That's right. We got it built, and okay.
So this is the problem I have found with Spinnaker is everyone using it kind of just assumes everyone already knows how to use it, and so there's a lot of these like basics that are just missing in tutorials and stuff.
I think I got it.
Oh, what did you change?
I went back here. Hold on. Let's see it finish first. So.
See, I think it might just be going back to doing.
There you go. I actually rolled everything out too.
Okay, so go to infrastructure.
And then
So under infrastructure.
there you go. So it's terminated.
No timing. Yeah. So I just want to see what it's seeing under clusters.
There you go.
Oh yeah. So what did you change?
I went over here. I went into configure. I went to deploy manifest, and I removed the artifacts to bind.
I hate my life.
Mm-hmm. As soon as I removed that, it just worked.
I hate my life so much. So let's tag a new version of the app.
Okay. Well, how about this? We go ahead and remove This thing, right? Can we do like a 33% release or whatever?
Oh, I know what you can do. Go to your Docker Hub. We can set up automated build.
Alright.
So hub.docker, yeah. Node time. And then there should be a, is it manage repository? And then builds. Link to GitHub. Save.
Connect, right?
Oh yeah. So this will OAuth into your.
Okay. Repositories.
Yeah.
Node time. Builds.
Configure automated builds, top right hand corner.
Thank you.
So JJ repository. Node time. And then you want to if you want to create a second build, so hit build rules, and then on tag. Wait, hang on.
Match versions.
Let's have a look. I have one set up I can look at real quick. One moment. Docker. Sorry, of course it's. Docker. Really? Hello was Spring. Hello Spinnaker demo. That's the one. Builds. All right. So
Tag of release. No, wait, there's a source ref. The source is a dot.
it used to do that. Oh, there you go. It tells you examples there, so you can grab that. Yeah, source.
And then Docker tag.
The Docker tag is the release.
It's backwards. That's so stupid. That's it.
And well, hang on. Source type, master. I think. Alright, just hit save and see what it shows. Don't save and build. Don't can. Oh my god, you make things so much worse. Docker tag latest source master. Yeah, that looks right. Alright, so that's basically will be when you push to master, it's going to build a new Docker file latest, And when you create a tag, it's going to create a image with the tagged version. Right? And so once that's done, we can modify the master branch all we want, and it's not going to trigger a build that Spinnaker cares about. It's when we actually tag a version, it will actually... And so previously I've created workflows, so when you push latest, it will deploy to staging, and then when you tag it and create the version, it will then push to production.
Got it.
And it's like a single pipeline with like usually have like a manual gate in between even sometimes. But we can basically, once we've confirmed this is working, we'll modify this somehow, save it, and then we'll create a GitHub tag and give it a new version number, like 1.0.2 or whatever up to.
Yep. Nice. I'm tracking.
Yeah. And that's, I guess it's taking a little bit longer. Okay, so we got there. So that artifact messed with us.
Yes, it did. Well, while that's going, do you want to start working on a PR real quick?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we added...
Alright, so first of all, in the values file, in the defaults, so in the repo, we need to decide on a value that we're going to use as the toggle.
Okay.
And so under halyard, actually just look for the word persistence. Okay, so just basically grab that, like persistence enabled false, yeah, and go up to the halyard. And I would do like right under image, as in like it's doing image repo tag, so create a new key under tag. No, that's the comments for the next, yeah. And so you want it to be, yep, right there. And then I would add a comment above that, saying set to false to disable persistent data volume for halyard.
Like that?
You spelled halyard wrong, but yes. HALYARD. And we want the default to be false, so that's good. Oh no, we want the default to be true. So set that to true. Save that, and then go to your templates.
Yeah, 1 second.
And go to here. So where we
This right here.
set the empty dir. Okay. So add an if statement here. So if dot values dot halyard dot persistence dot enabled. But we want that actually to be if not, and so I think it's, you just use the word not in front of values. Whoa!
What the hell did I do there?
You changed virtual screens?
I think I did. Oops.
Yeah, you actually, I think you actually want to go back to the virtual screen you were at, not trying to bring things into.
Yeah. Oh, I think I closed everything down. I had a keyboard I wasn't supposed to, or key thing I wasn't supposed to hit. Okay, that was weird.
Right, but like I don't even know if you're streaming it anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's over here. There you go.
All right.
And OBS should be there too. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Anyway, so.
Okay, so back to Emacs.
Mhm.
That's Emacs where we're at right now.
Yep. You said not in front of this?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yep. And then you want to close the if statement after empty dir. No, you don't want the. Oh, you do want the. Yeah, that's good. And then you want to backtick those so they match up with the other ones. Yep.
Like that?
Yep. So this is if we don't want persistence, we want home to be an empty dir, and then so scroll right to the bottom where it just has the volume claim template, and we want to search for if. No, sorry, right to the bottom of the. And basically we want to add an if statement around these. But you'll want that to be right at the base. Basically, the if statements usually line up with the resource they're controlling.
Got it.
So if.values.halyard, capital V.
No, is it not?
No, you want if for this one. So if persistence is true, we want this. Halyard. Persistence dot enables. Pull those comments out and then stick a end at the end.
Okay.
Yep. And you'll need to fork the repo, set your origin up to your fork.
Yeah, but hang on.
Well, we'll clearly we'll want to test it first.
Yeah, but what the this is here, but where's the the values.yaml that needs to be put actually inside of the charts?
Isn't that where you edit it?
No, I edited it on the one we were.
Oh,
editing.
okay, yeah. So there's a values.yaml. Sorry, I thought you did it here in Spinnaker.
Yeah. Values.yaml. So this values. So we need this right here. Down over here to be here.
Yep.
Like that. Oops. Right?
Yep. And then in your copy of the values, you want to set it to false. Yep.
Okay, so then if I come back over here, so now we have that change. Which is what we expect. We have the that around there.
Oh.
That to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
go back to the Docker Hub, see if it's finished doing that build.
Nope.
Wow. This used to be like take minutes to do these. Wonder why.
No,
okay, it was just not refreshing.
Yeah.
So now go to let me see. You want to change your source code?
Yes.
And make it change the message it's printing. So the socket right.
Yeah, this is right.
Yeah, but you want to actually change the message. Right here. Remember we did the double quote?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Time is, yeah. Yep. So you want to save that. I'm going to push it to master. Yeah.
Okay.
So now you want to go to your Git repo and create a release. And you want it to be 1.1.0, yeah, sure. And then, yeah, that's all you really need. Oop. Cool.
Sure.
So now go to your Docker Hub page.
Docker Hub.
And then do a refresh.
There we go.
So yeah, it's just doing a
Perfect.
build latest and a build release 1.1.0. And so when that release is done, that should trigger the pipeline.
Okay.
And you should see a build. While that's happening, you want to keep going with the pull request.
Oh,
So you want to fork the charts repo.
Yep.
Create a new origin. Push a branch to your.
Yep. Give me a minute.
All right.
Charts. Okay. What is this? Oh. Yeah. Let's delete this. Okay. Okay, double checking it. So stage and stage, commit, co-authored. Is that correct?
I've never done a co-authored by.
I'm pretty sure it is. Co-authored by. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Co-authored by, yes.
No cap.
Okay. So. Oh my god. CZ. AR. KOW.
SKI.
What's your email?
That's fine.
No, I think I'm supposed to put your email down.
Alright. PCZARKOWSKI.
Okay.
At pivotal.io.
Pivotal.
That's how you know we're cool.
what should we say? This allows for ephemeral
Halyard deployments.
Deployments for Spinnaker.
Yeah, and so actually, because it's the charts repo, you're supposed to prefix it with.
Stable.
Yeah, but you do it right at the front in like square brackets. Yeah. Perfect.
This allows for the ability to have the Hayward. I can't get this.
I would like kill that entire line and just be like deploying to clusters without PVC support.
This gives
Ability to
yeah
deploy.
the ability to deploy. Good enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Waka 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 waka. Look at you, JJ. You're contributing to open source.
I am. There we go. Okay. That's fine. We've done all that. Sure. Doesn't fix any of that. Checklist.
So you need to check. Have you done a DCO?
I have done DCOs.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know if I've done it for them though.
I think you're good. Oh, you did the. All you need to do is the signed off by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll show you
Yeah.
on there. Okay, so DCO's done.
We didn't bump the chart vote. This is why this is useful.
Yeah. So where's the chart version?
So in the chart.yaml.
What else is chart? Inside of space stairs.
Stable Spinnaker. Yeah.
Oh god. Chart.yaml. This would be a 15.
It is.
It's new functions.
Yeah, I would call it a 15 for sure. 0. And then the other thing you want to do. So save this off. And you want to edit the readme.markdown. And I can't remember. So some readmes have the full values. Okay, no, it just says
Read the docs.
instead of read the values file.
Yeah.
Ones like this are way too long,
Okay.
and so it just assumes that you. Yeah. Okay, so save that off.
Hang on.
Push.
No, I want to close this.
No, you haven't created it, so you can.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You can push a new commit.
Oh, I want to amend it.
No, don't.
Don't amend?
No.
Okay.
You're not an animal. So yeah, you just make a new commit. Don't worry about I don't need to co-auth the version change.
Updating the chart for the contrib docs. I miss Garrett, alright? I really do.
Said nobody ever.
Hey, now Garrett's cool.
So you
That's
can mark
done.
that as a yes.
Yes.
Yep. And
Yep.
yes.
Alright.
And then it'll figure out that it's changed. How exciting.
Mm-hmm. What? I did. Oh, god damn it.
What did you do wrong?
It's because my main email is my Gmail account.
Oh, you can add...
Oh, I've tried to do that in the past. It got weird on me.
Alright. Well, it looks like you're committing now.
Mm-hmm. So... There we go.
Wah, wah, wah.
What? Oh. Why are you doing origin?
Oh, because it doesn't know you didn't do it.
Okay. There we go.
Alright, now, so you can see up there it says needs okay to test.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually see the Kubernetes CI infrastructure in process.
Mm-hmm.
So leave that page up, and I look at pull requests. Here's your pull request.
Our pull request, thank you very much.
Sure. And so okay to test. So as a Helm chart maintainer, I can merge, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not going to merge it because it hasn't tested. But by doing /OK to test, you'll actually see the CI robot added the OK to test label, and now it's actually going to go through all the full integration testing. And that's just so that you can't deploy Bitcoin miners to our Kubernetes test clusters.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
The theory is whoever's doing OK to test is doing some amount of eyeballing to make sure that nothing too crazy is going on.
Yep.
Cool. So back to Spinnaker. Did we deploy?
No.
What?
Wait, yes. We did.
Yes. Okay. So go to your infrastructure. Okay, so you can see it did the scaling.
Wait. No.
Does it just need a full refresh? Huh.
Yeah, it didn't actually push it out. Because if you look at the pipeline here, 4 minutes ago, no. 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes
4 minutes ago.
This is very confusing.
It is. That is the release we pushed out, 111, or 110. So...
Do a kubectl get pods on the... Pods?
30 minutes.
So 30 minutes.
So it didn't actually push it out.
Interesting.
Monitor deployment, refresh. Yeah, it didn't actually scale it out.
But so that's all from 30 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's the previous... There's no way that happened 30 minutes ago.
No, this is the one. This is one we just pushed out. Yeah.
So, what? So obviously we're missing something, something obvious. But I think we're probably at about time to wrap things up.
Yeah.
So I think what we learned here is, despite Kubernetes being the multi-cloud tool that we use to make things deployable to every cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Every cloud is still different.
Very different.
And one of the differences we just found is the IBM Cloud volume storage doesn't support setting the file system group at the spec level.
Yep.
It looked like you can set it at the container level and then run an init container to change it inside the container.
Which seems really convoluted.
Which seems convoluted,
Yes.
but it's probably fine. And we could modify the Helm chart to deal with that if we needed to. But it's kind of cleaner just for now to say, well, it makes sense to allow fully ephemeral installs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. I would probably take this back to your product team and find out the direction that they're moving. If they're looking at rolling out support for it in the near future, it definitely wouldn't be worth making that pull request to make it work for now. So it's cool to see that we do have these abstraction leaks even in Kubernetes.
I think
which
cool,
kind of
cool is not the correct word.
Yeah, no, not cool as in good. It's just it's good to see in practice something that we talk about, which is that abstractions leak, and just because you can deploy to one place doesn't mean you can deploy to another. Like we could have done this in Minikube and it probably would have just worked.
Yep.
We could have done it in GKE and it would have just worked. Maybe in Amazon or Azure it would have failed.
Yep.
Maybe in like a default kube spray it might have failed. Just based on, and actually it wouldn't be with kube spray, it would be dependent on the actual storage that kube spray would be telling Kubernetes to use. So that sucks, but I actually think it's interesting to see that. But we did get through it. We got it deployed. We had some issues with actually the deployment in the end here, which I think is probably more to do with us not fully grokking how Spinnaker sees the world.
I really am struck that we couldn't find just a basic tutorial on how to start a very simple.
If I was thinking more when we did the initial deployment, I would have done it with the Kubernetes V1 driver, and we wouldn't have had this same struggle. But that being said, Spinnaker folks are really pushing people to not use V1 and to use V2, and so.
I mean, it feels like with Spinnaker, if I did this all day, every day, I could see the value. I really, truly can.
Yeah.
But if I'm just coming, like, doing a drive-by like we did today to kind of be able to speak about this when I have to speak about things like this, now I've had the experience, but it's still just the mean time to success is really, really long.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a thing you would be using if you have, like, if you're looking at building out decent, complex applications built up of multiple microservices managed by multiple teams, right? If you just have one or two apps you're deploying, and it's not really at enterprise level, it's probably not the tool to reach for. Yeah, it's just it's complicated.
It really is.
Like everything, it's complicated. Going for the large use case often means that the small use case is not great, and vice versa, right? So their target audience coming from Netflix is dealing with hundreds of microservices. Therefore, the tooling has to be complex. It doesn't necessarily have to be complicated, right? If there's a distinction there, but trying to make complex things not be complicated is hard.
Yeah.
So that's I think the current issue, and it was a lot simpler when it was just deploying to Amazon, right? But deploying to Kubernetes and Azure and Google Cloud and all those things has added extra complications. And also having alternative artifact stores, because previously I think the only real artifact store was wherever the golden images in Amazon go, right?
Oh yeah.
And so didn't really have to
AMIs.
worry about that. Whereas
Yeah.
now you can have artifacts that are not just images, but artifacts that are Helm charts, artifacts that are kube manifests, and so you need a way to find those wherever they are and store them. And so you have like artifact backends for Docker, which we just discovered, artifact backends for Git. So if we had the Helm the kube manifest in Git, we would need to build a Git artifact, and it just gets more and more complicated. And so I've seen some really complex pipelines. They get very spaghetti-ish, pick up sticks
Nice.
very quickly. I'm not sure where I'm going with that ramble, apart from
fine.
like it's hard, it's complicated,
But
and that's okay, because if you're in the problem space that Spinnaker solves, you can kind of expect it to be hard and complicated, because everything is at that complex distributed system layer. Everything is complex, and it's really hard to distill those complex things down into simple abstractions. And when we try, we end up with weird leaky abstractions like we just saw, and those are things that I just don't think you'll ever fully solve for, and that's okay if you understand and know that you have to deal with leaky abstractions. And tools like Helm actually help us deal with that leaky abstraction, because as you saw, we could put feature flags around, say doing persistence, as like a quick workaround, and if we wanted to, we could add flags to actually deal with the security context needing to be at the container level versus the pod level. If we found a bunch of storage required that, it would make sense to port that back into like the Spinnaker Helm chart. If not, then we would need to figure out some other way to deal with that oddity. I know Helm 3 is bringing in some more stuff with the like Lua scripting, so that you can actually like, after the Helm templating bit has done, I think you can use Lua scripts to like edit the manifests even further before they're sent to Kubernetes.
Oh wow.
And that's where you might deal with some of those very specific implementation detailed differences that aren't worth pushing all the way back to the community.
Why
charts.
Lua though?
We all make poor life choices, JJ.
Come on, man. I thought we got rid of that when people stopped playing WoW. Anyway, well, so yes, I think this is very educational. Thank you for this, Paul. And I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. It really is. It's really cool.
When you actually see the demo of doing a full CI/CD lifecycle, of actually like seeing, okay, I make changes, it automatically tests, it automatically pushes to staging, and then I cut a release, it does more testing, and then automatically publishes to production. When you see that full life cycle, without having to sit through the 3 hours of pain we just had to sit through to do the basic stuff, it totally starts making a lot more sense. But unfortunately, you have to sit through that pain before you can get to the value. And I guess that's why there's companies like Armory that are basically putting like support, like managed support for Spinnaker.
Oh, nice.
And they might even be building like a SaaS based offering for Spinnaker to try and help hide some of that complexity. But
cool.
Life's hard. What are you gonna do? Drink beer?
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't ever see I'm going to reuse this for my Rails app. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, probably not.
All right, well, thank you again, Paul. And I think we're pretty much at time. And thank you for watching. And you want to say bye?
Bye-bye.